brilliantly in one of your streams that the Democrats tend to attack and hate on Russia and focus on Russia, and the Republicans, especially the neocons, tend to focus on China. So, do you think this is part of the Democrats trying to hit Russia even harder? And is there any connection between Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and what's been going on in Kazakhstan and Ukraine?
Well, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, has, quite a notorious record and reputation. I mean, he got kicked out of the U.S. Navy for using cocaine. He is on the board of Burisma Holdings, which is a natural gas company in Ukraine, even though he has absolutely no experience or connection with natural gas. I mean, he's just he got that job when he was the vice president's son. And now he's the son of the U.S. president. He has no real experience in the industry, but it's just a job he got conveniently right after the 2014 events in Ukraine, in which the United States toppled the government and put the current Kiev government into power. And it should be worth noting that he gets paid quite a bit for that job. It's not a low paying job. I mean, he's getting paid tens of thousands of dollars per month. And I don't know how frequently he's in Ukraine directing these operations, but it's just a job he's got. So a lot of people speculated about this. This came up during the elections. There's video of Joe Biden talking about how he got a prosecutor who was investigating Burisma Holdings for corruption. He got the guy fired, and he's bragging about that at a meeting of the Council on Foreign Relations. And this all came out during the elections. And Joe Biden's response to it was, "Oh, this is Russian propaganda. This is Russian propaganda." Well, I don't think the issue is who said it. The issue is it true or not? And there was no denial of any of the facts. And you also saw then the weird situation where his laptop, got released to the media, and then the New York Post and some pretty mainstream U.S. media outlets tried to report on it, and social media, Twitter and Facebook, banned the news stories about it. So Hunter Biden's corruption is simply off limits in mainstream U.S. media. His latest example of corruption is, in addition to being a natural gas executive, despite no experience with natural gas, he's now a painter. Hunter Biden is a painter, and he's sold paintings for $500,000.
Oh God.
He's never painted before, but he's just gotten interested in art, and people are buying these paintings for $500,000. So, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, seems to be in a pretty good position, and I'm not sure that it's simply his own merits that has gotten him there. There's plenty of foul play there. But there's kind of an attitude that, among the Trump camp, people talk about this, but mainstream media has just decided that if you talk about it, they accuse you of being a Trump supporter or a Russian
Right.
asset. So that it's just kind of off limits. But that said, the natural gas markets, right? Natural gas, that tends to be run by U.S. energy firms, right? You've got Devon Energy, which is a very big fracking company based in the United States. You got BP, British Petroleum. They are all over natural gas. And major U.S. oil companies are also in natural gas. And right now, they are making a killing because of the supply chain. Now there's more demand because the pandemic. We're coming out of the pandemic, so there's more demand for natural gas. Businesses that were closed down last year during the winter are now opened up again and wanting to be heated. And so there's more demand. Plus, it's an exceptionally cold winter in Europe. Here, it's been a somewhat mild winter, but in Europe, it's been an exceptionally cold winter. So, the price of natural gas is very high right now. It's very expensive. And so American natural gas companies and British natural gas companies are making a killing. And they're making a killing in particular selling natural gas to Western Europe, to the NATO countries, Belgium, Germany, France. They're making quite a bit of money. And there's this natural gas pipeline called the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that connects Russia to Germany. And if that pipeline were to just get turned on, there would suddenly be a whole bunch of natural gas on the European markets, and the price of natural gas would decrease. Furthermore, the Gazprom, the Russian state-run natural gas company, is happy to start selling to Europe, and they don't sell at the current market price. They sell for a long-term rate, like an average rate. So they would actually be selling gas for cheaper than what it's selling for right now. So if countries in Europe were to actually start buying natural gas from Russia, then the price of natural gas would drastically reduce, right? American and British natural gas companies would have to drop the price to compete with Russia's long-term contracts price. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline would add more gas to the market overall, and the price would just drop. So what they're afraid of is that if there were not tension with Russia, if things between the United States and Russia were to just get better, right? If Europe, the Western European countries and Russia, NATO and Russia were all getting along, then there would be no political reason for Russia not to be part of this. And all these natural gas companies that are making a killing right now off these really high prices, they would suddenly lose their gouging party. They're gouging right now. They're making the most of a bad situation. They're making huge profits right now because of this perfect storm of situations that have driven the price up, and they're afraid that Russia will ruin it. And so, to prevent Russia from ruining it, there is just relentless tension with Russia. And first, it's something in Ukraine, and they're alleging Russia's going to invade Ukraine, and then Biden and Putin meet, and now it's Kazakhstan, and then Biden and Putin meet, and it's like they're trying to just keep things going and escalate it as long as they can, because that price is so high right now. They don't want to lose out. There is a direct financial incentive behind this situation. I mean, this isn't speculation. This is not about like hegemony or long-term imperialist domination. This is about their paycheck. If USA and Russia start getting along, they lose money fast, and they don't want it. There is a direct financial incentive for the USA and Russia to be at odds with each other right now. But it's very dangerous because the threat of a new world war is hanging over our heads. And when Russia sees its neighbor Ukraine in instability, its neighbor Belarus in instability, its neighbor Kazakhstan in instability, and Russia has nuclear weapons, and the United States has nuclear weapons, and this could all lead to a very bad situation. Something could go wrong. There could be some kind of accident or some kind of miscommunication that could have catastrophic results, that could result in, God forbid, some kind of nuclear war or World War III or something like that, right? We've seen some pretty close calls in Syria where airplanes get shot down or Russian troops and Turkey, there was a situation, and that we've had some pretty close calls over the last 5-6 years. And if this desire for escalation is not contained, if we, the American people, don't stand up to the oil and gas giants and the military industrial complex and say, I don't care how much money you got on the line, you can't take us closer to World War III and the annihilation of the planet. If we don't do that, there's going to be some problems coming up. And the scary thing is, there are people that are close to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and there are people that are close to the British royal family who are openly talking about how the planet can only have 500 million people. They want to drastically reduce the human population. So, if you've got people talking about how we should only have 500 million people because that's all Mother Earth can sustain, and then they're escalating us closer to World War III, why would we be surprised, right? I mean, a nuclear war would kill 2/3 of the human race. So we're not even down to 500 million, right? We've got about 7 billion people in the world right now. So you'd have to kill a lot more than 2/3 of the human race to get it down to what they think is natural. So think about that, right? I mean, with all this talk of overpopulation, there may be some kind of deranged psychotic faction within the international ruling class that is openly thinking, hey, if we had a nuclear war, that wouldn't be so bad. They know how they'll be safe. And then at the same time, that would get them back into the balance with Mother Nature that they seem to think is correct. So this is very, very serious. We need to be demanding peace. We need people throughout the world to be in the streets right now demanding peace, demanding international friendship and cooperation between Russia and China and the United States. Really, we need a multipolar world. Beijing and Moscow and Washington should stand together. During the 1930s, 1939, Earl Browder, the leader of the Communist Party, he called for a Moscow, Beijing, Washington axis. That's what he called it, a new axis of Washington, Moscow, and Beijing during the Second World War. And if that had happened, right? If that had happened, there probably wouldn't have been a Second World War. Well, there's hope now. There's hope now, I think. There's many people in the United States that feel like Joe Biden doesn't represent them, that these big oil and gas monopolies are out of control. They want better living standards here. And they're resisting neoliberalism and the drive to kind of drive the world into one global open international market. So I think that there's potential here. That's kind of my analysis of this whole situation.